It's a typical autumn day here at Tasmania's Port Arthur. There's a steady stream of tourists piling out of buses. The Broad Arrow Cafe is filled with the hungry lunchtime crowd. The cafe's kitchen manager, Brigid Cook, is busy working when she hears what sounds like muffled explosions. Within seconds, she must decide whether to save herself or put her own life at risk to save others.
It was clear and sunny. It was perfect autumn day. We knew that we were going to be busy because we had about 10 busloads of people coming through.
Beneath the remains of the Broad Arrow Cafe lies a remarkable story.
At the start of lunchtime, I was just cooking a pork dish in the kitchen. I heard what I thought was an electrical short. It sounded like a crack.
One of Australia's oldest convict settlements, Port Arthur, has now become the scene of our most horrific massacre. All the dead and injured were shot during a ruthless shooting spree by a lone gunman. At least 200 police have surrounded Port Arthur. All roads in have been blocked. And like the rest of Australia, its residents tonight are asking why.
The massacre at Port Arthur is one of the darkest days in Australia's history, but this is a story of bravery, an act that would renew one family's faith in the goodness of human nature. Brigid Cook was the kitchen manager at Port Arthur's Broad Arrow Cafe that day when a terrified waitress burst through the kitchen doors and changed her life forever.
Her face was just aghast. She was pale and just shouting, "Don't go out there, don't go out there." And of course everybody's natural curiosity, we were all sort of moving out, and she was physically saying, you know, "You can't go out there, somebody's shooting people."
The kitchen staff rush out the back door and head into the trees behind the cafe. But then Brigid sees a tour group walking towards the noise.
A lot of people thought it was a reenactment of some sort and that it was part of the experience. So they were coming to see what was going on. I ran towards them and said, you know, "I think somebody's shooting people in there." And people just scattered.
The gunman fired from the hip in what looked like a scene from a Rambo movie as he mowed victims down indiscriminately.
It was a battlefield. It was a battlefield.
Just stop and imagine what Brigid was facing that day. Everyone else has run for cover. But rather than thinking about her own life, she's run into the path of the gunman.
We took cover around behind the back of one of the buses. At that point in time I was feeling really helpless because there wasn't anywhere else to run to. You could hear the shots as he was going through and killing people. Somebody shouted, "Oh, there he is," and like an idiot I put my head out to have a look, and that's when I got shot.
Amid the carnage, tales of heroism, one couple and their children owing their lives to a woman who warned them to duck only to take a direct hit herself.
We couched behind the cars. He went back to the bus. He shot the bus driver and the people there. And in that action, he also wounded a person called Brigid Cook, who warned us of him. If it wasn't for Brigid, we wouldn't be here today.
He was standing with the rifle up against his shoulder, so I saw his face was shielded like that. At that point in time, I think I was really expecting to be killed.
A chef at the site, Brigid Cook, was shot in both legs while warning others to take cover, but she's a reluctant hero.
I was able to do something that was useful.
You probably saved many lives, though.
Well, it was worth doing it.
Smoke and explosions surround me. A flood of hate, it drowns me. I cannot live this way. No, I cannot live.
35 people died that day. Brigid Cook lived. So did those she saved.
I cannot die this way. No, I will not die this way.
Today, we bring Brigid back to the Broad Arrow Cafe, now just an empty shell that is part of the memorial garden. This is a particularly eerie place. What's it like for you to come back?
It feels odd because the space is familiar, but it's not real. You know, it's not what it was. It was a working cafe kitchen, busy, running with people all the time. And this is just, empty space.
You were wounded that day. What was the damage that was done?
The bullet went in on this side and across the front of my leg and went into the other thigh. It was excruciating. It was sort of deep and hurtful and heavy. And I fell over, I think, as you do. But then I could see Martin moving down towards us, so it was, I got up and ran around the back of the bus to hide, to sort of get away as far as possible.
So was it sheer terror that gave you that ability to run?
Yeah.
You had muscle missing.
If he'd flicked the artery, I would have been dead. It just would have bled out. And I'd just done a first aid course a couple of weeks prior to that, so I had the pinny tied off around my leg. And
you were made to survive, weren't you?
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was one of the things, was that it was just like, as soon as I realised that I wasn't dead, it was like I didn't want to be. So, I just sort of had to get away and do as much as you could to not be.
Coming up, you're on the edge of it, aren't you?
Yeah. I couldn't let people come into that sort of danger.
Can you remember some of the faces of those people that you said don't go in there?
I didn't think I'd recognise you, but of course I do.